Absolutely. All the praise, rightly so, over the summer was all about Rangers, the recruitment, the continuity they had in the squad. They were going to kick on this season. Everything was going to be rosy. And suddenly they've had a setback, losing 3 games. And I just, you're trying to work out why or how. And you look at the changes that Steven Gerrard has made to his starting lineup, Rob, continually. That's the one thing that Ange Postecoglou hasn't done. He's tried to keep the majority of the same players. He's trying to build something and trying to, knit something together. From, in the 4 game Rangers have played, from the first game of the season against Livingston to the next game against Malmo, 7 changes, 4 changes, 3 changes, and then for Dunfermline on Friday night, 8 changes. You're getting players who are maybe playing 1 game, not playing for 2 games, playing, and they're trying to balance it all. And I always wondered, was that going to be Steven Gerrard's biggest problem this season? The squad is that big and competitive. You end up trying to please all the players by chopping and changing, putting them in, and then you end up, your performance level drops because you're trying to keep everybody happy. Go back to the single-minded, this is my team, this is what I'm going to do. If you don't play well, he's in place of you, 1 or 2, as opposed to making 7 or 8. And Philip Hollander is the prime example. He played against Dundee United. He hasn't played since. And he could play on Thursday night against Alishkert. And he hasn't played for 11 days. Now, I know that doesn't seem an awful lot, but when you're a player trying to get to your fitness so early in the season, all that chopping and changing, I think it's just making them a little bit disjointed. Friday night was good. From a Rangers perspective, there was lots of good attacking play. They scored 5 goals. Calvin Bassey got minutes. Nathan Patterson got minutes. But it'll be interesting to see what he does on Thursday night with James Tavernier and Borna Barisic. I think that's his biggest problem. Does he bring the 2 experienced ones back in, or does he keep the 2 youthful ones in?
So lots of changes in that Rangers team then, game to game, as Craggs has been detailing there. Also a lot of transfer talk, isn't there? And that happens when you've had the sort of season Rangers had, a really successful season, lots of players hitting really good levels, John. You get transfer activity, but there seems to be a lot swirling around. There's been Alfredo Morelos constantly. We never veer far away from a question mark over whether he's going to stay or go. It seems as if he's now going to stay. But there's a question about Glenn Kamara. There's a question about Connor Goldson getting a new deal. There's talk at the moment about Yanis Hadji and some interest surrounding him. Do you think that's all unsettling Rangers at the moment?
Possibly. I'm just not quite sure if Steven Gerrard knows his best team yet. Still very early in the season. Remember last season he made changes. Lots of changes. Patterson came in for Tavernier when Tavernier got injured. He was in for the best part of a couple of months. Jermaine Defoe came in and did a great job. He went from Aribo to Stephen Davis. He mixed up the midfield, and it worked. Rangers,
every change he made worked.
It worked, yeah. And this season, they've lost 3 in a row. They've gone out of the Champions League to Malmo, the qualifier, and as a manager, these are the decisions that you have to make. Otherwise, you come under pressure, especially up here in Scotland, because one half is waiting to jump on you. When you're winning, Martin O'Neill always used to say to us, winning takes care of everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't really matter how you do it. You just got to win, because then you keep the fans, you keep the press, you keep everybody off your back. But when Rangers have gone out in the Champions League, they've lost at Dundee United. Whereas last season they didn't lose a game in the league. Defended really strongly. The defending's been iffy this season already, particularly against Malmo at home and away, actually, for that little 5 or 10 minute spell they had just before. Was it before, or was it just half time?
It was just after half time.
Yeah. So, as I said, I think Craggs is right. I think you need to stick to your favourite team, your best formation. Stick with it. And if it gets a little bit disjointed, if anybody doesn't play particularly well, or somebody just looks out of sync in that team, then just change that player. Keep that same formation. That's what we used to do at Saturday. Our team never changed. We went 3-5-2, 3 at the back, which allowed us to play 2 up. Midfield never changed. It was Lambert, Petrov, Lennon. That was it. The only time it changed is when Chris used to drop back in, when me and Hendrik used to play up top. We knew the full-backs. It was Thompson and Agat. And generally we knew the 3 centre-halves. We knew our goalkeeper. Team didn't change for 3 or 4 years. Unless there was a problem injury-wise, or if the manager wanted to take a certain player out for a certain type of game. I know now it's a squad game and there's probably more games to play. And the sports science say, well, he's in the red zone, he has to come out on a particular game. But I just think by playing players all the time, Players want to play, Rob. Players don't get
John,
tired.
it's August. It's August.
Yeah, players
It's
don't
not
get,
December
but
where
Craigs,
we've played 40 games. It's
players-
August to play 3,
players
4.
don't get tired. They're still searching for their fitness.
Tell Alexa to launch Go Radio or listen on the Go Radio app.